Welcome back to Financial Times in the Car Line. I dropped some knowledge on the financial industry and spilled the tea. This one is for everyone that has a mortgage or anyone that's looking to obtain a mortgage. Just buyer beware. This is kind of like a warning. Something that I actually experienced and went through over the last 25 days. So legally, in the guidelines of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they state that if you make a payment within $50 of your mortgage, short of your mortgage, of the minimum payment, they technically can hold the payment as an unapplied credit. They won't apply it to your mortgage, and they'll let it sit there until you make up the remainder. They won't make any collection calls until after the 15th, and run you around in circles until all of a sudden 35 days later you get the check back in the mail and they say, hey, you're late on your mortgage, plus now you have a late fee. So keep that in mind. If you're going to send in a mortgage payment, you can't send in partial payments. So that's the big thing that you need to be aware of. Personal experience for me, what I got caught up in was the escrow analysis. I never received it in the mail, and I didn't have it on my calendar that the escrow analysis for this one particular house was due around this specific time. So I sent in the normal payment, and I always send in an additional $5 just to make sure it's over the payment. And they held it. So they cashed the check, and then something just told me on like the 14th of the month of March. February. I was like, let me just check let me check my balance, see where I'm at. And it said unapplied credit. And I was like, what the heck? And the payment was $53 short of the new minimum payment because the new escrow analysis was out and they did not accept the payment. However, they cashed it. They just credited it to my account as an unapplied credit. Didn't take off the interest, didn't take off the principal. And then on the 15th, I get a collections phone call that, hey, you're late, you're behind. And I'm like, what? I noticed this yesterday. So it became a 12-day ordeal for them to get me this escrow analysis. And then finally, I was just like, all right, I sent in the new payment for March, plus I added the additional $53, plus I added an additional $10 just to make sure it covers. Okay, thanks, cool. And then all of a sudden, on the 2nd of March, the check gets cashed, the 2nd or 3rd, and I ended up going back into the mortgage account and looking at it, and lo and behold, unapplied credit again. I'm like, what the heck? And then next thing I know, 2 days later, I get the check in the mail from the original mortgage payment. So no one was doing their job when I was making phone calls to I'm not going to name names because I don't want to be held liable for slander, but no, I asked for a mortgage or a supervisor or a manager callback 3 times, never spoke to anyone. No one ever called me back. Every time I would call back, it's an hour and 10-minute hold time on the phone, which is insane. The chat bot online couldn't answer my question. So it was just absolutely bananas how they try to get you in this trap. And I finally got someone on the phone, and I was just like, yeah, you guys sent back the check. And you know what they tell me? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, just don't worry about the check then. We'll just cancel the check and reverse it and put it back into our account. And I was like, no, I already cashed the check because you sent it back to me. So beware of your mortgage company. If you send in a payment that is less than the minimum payment, over $50, they have every right to hold it. It's absolutely bananas, the fact that they wrote that in the law. It's almost like they want you to fail. Think about that. I my mortgage payment is like $21.50 a month, okay? I sent them a payment of $21.50. The payment was $22.03. They cashed the check, but didn't apply a single amount of it, not a single dollar, to anything. So what did they do? What do they do with those funds? They probably invest it. So keep that in mind. Whenever you send in a payment, if it's not going to be a full payment, you probably need to call and speak to a manager to make sure it's going to get applied some way, somehow. So just learn from my mistake. do yourself a favor. What I just did today is I asked them, when is my escrow analysis on this property the same every year? Because I looked back in my my file, and last year the payment didn't change until April. The year before that, it didn't change until March. This year, it changed in February. And they said, well, your escrow analysis is in November every year for this property. And I said, well, then why did you change the payments on different dates? Oh, that must have been a processing error. Really? Really? So I made sure I switched all my delivery options to digital and paper, which they were already set to, but I never got the digital copy and I never got the paper copy. So keep that in mind. By all means, put it in your calendar, like I did November 1st, check on this property's escrow analysis. But that is today's Financial Times in the Car Line. Always protect yourself. Always be paying attention to the payments you make. See ya.